like, I imagine 800 hours, something like that. And these players also up there. Let's get into the match immediately. Shift going into Krakoa ban system that we always talked about. Both teams banning immediately, and it's kind of getting more expected. Emma Frost is banned first instead of that Magneto, allowing it to go through for the Protect.
Yeah, it's either one or the other is what we're seeing so far. So if you had any indication of what the pros may think are a struggle for them, that Magneto and Emma Frost very much on the table. But as we're saying that, out there is the lock into Magneto. Loki, obviously an incredibly strong strategist. From here, it's going to go back down to the red side. We do mention this, but if you're ever confused as to who will be banning next, just keep your eye on which box is lit up at the time. This next ban will actually be synchronized together across both sides, and then it'll go back to a Protect for blue, as you see the lit up side there for Nightmare. So just an interesting way to go about it. We can break through and break down this banning phase for you guys as we progress in the forward, as I know it can be a little confusing, but I do think it has absolutely shook up the way these tournaments have played out, and I think it's a ton of fun to witness, where bans are now no longer universal and instead just for a targeted team.
Yeah, it's interesting that, you know, people say the red side has an advantage with the 3 bans in a row, but it's definitely still up for debate slightly. The ban phase regardless does matter a ton, right? That changes a lot, and you see a lot of teams don't want to play against Loki. A lot of teams don't want to play against Luna Snow, so they're going to ban it for Nightmare, Ailaniwind, that is, and also making sure they can't play the Punisher. So taking out a lot of, you know, very specific heroes. And it's kind of interesting because I feel like the meta in terms of banning, and everybody has such a different approach, Shib. I feel like, you know, like we said, like a Nightmare now banning out Doctor Strange at the very end as well, making sure they can't play that hero was interesting because Shib is, as we both know, I mean, Groot's still available, right? I mean, there's so many heroes that you can play alternatively. It's a matter of kind of putting them together like a puzzle.
Yeah, we've said it 1,000 times, but the banning phase, games can be won absolutely or lost in the banning phase. We've seen a couple mishaps where teams actually forgot to ban or protect, and it may have bitten them in the butt. But yeah, I mean, it is very much a scrim-based conversation or a leader-based conversation, is where they may feel more comfortable leaving the Groot open because they may have the Punisher on the field. So that kind of discussions, all that happening in real time very quickly, can lead to, you know, like we talked about, an essentially a win or a loss in the ban phase. Obviously, it very much comes down to how the team fights shake out and how ultimates are utilized and the neutral fights are utilized. But in the end of the day, it can very well be won or lost in that initial phase.
Yeah, really. I mean, I think that's how, honestly, over at EMEA, how VP lost, and, you know, at points even FlyQuest lost yesterday, or the other day. It just feels like, you know, maybe 1 or 2 things in the ban phase didn't go their way, and they've also played, you know, heroes that maybe aren't as strong this patch, but both teams in Nightmare, Ailaniwind having a very specific way to approach it. We'll see who kind of comes out on top. Nightmare focusing more towards that triple res composition with the Mantis, with the Star-Lord, and the Atom Warlock alongside a Cloak and Dagger for that damage amplification with the Terror Cape. And on the opposite side, Ailaniwind having that group portal plays, meanwhile, from Hydron, interesting early.
Yeah, the initial take, trying to find somebody sleeping in the back. Unfortunately, unable to do so, but there is going to be that combination where we are going to see the Magneto bubble on C4 here consistently, just allowing the Galactic Legend Ultimate to fly as frequently as possible. So we are going to start seeing them press forward onto the point here. We've noticed these pro teams are now fighting very much vertically instead of on that high ground behind, just due to the natural cover and how it's laid out on this map. Very smart decision, but it looks like Nightmare is slowly taking back this point. Nice shot there by Aurora, finding one on Chenzo. Down goes Chenzo early, and well done for the early fight here, putting it in their advantage as Nightmare collapses in.
Yeah, Nightmare with the triple res composition looks like been practicing it up pretty heavily as well. I mean, just so much pressure into these tanks now. Great Cloak and Dagger ult, though, no, and they've lost basically everybody. I mean, that's brutal.
Yeah, unfortunately, utilizing that ultimate and still losing that fight early is going to bite them, and that's a nice retake here by Micah. Going to use it right back to press forward. Great res there by C4. Numbers are heavily up for Nightmare as Hydron finds K. Jules in the back. Sleep A takes out Prince, and Nightmare is going to hold on to this point early on.
Yeah, looking pretty good. That was a bit of a strange ultimate from Prince, to be honest, considering the situation they were in. Maybe thought they could save one more member of their team. To be honest, the composition they're running is pretty solid, but we've seen a lot of teams sort of learn how strong this Mantis damage boost alongside the Cloak and Dagger damage amplification with the Terror Cape. So they took full advantage of it. And like you said, Aurora finding those opening picks, giving themselves a good spot on this defense.
Electric Legends popped right now from C4, trying to find some value. No, the dance floor does get popped out, and we do see Venomable rolled out again. We see the Strangling Prison. Does it find any value? No, it does not. Just back and forth trading. Eye of Agamotto pops. Will they be able to collapse on it? Storm going to turn that Hurricane around. Go for the back lines. Mantis out of two as Goma finds early double pick. Sleepy going to res up. So is Juker, though, and those picks suddenly no longer have a ton of effect as we will even out on this fight.
Yeah, but they sort of have a pretty good neutral comp with that ultimate from Chenzo, and he's able to find elimination. The Meteor unfortunately misses. Here comes that res, but I mean, it's right in the open. They're going to have to kind of give up the point to get healthy.
That's an insane Adam res if I've ever seen one. 4 back as they still hold on to this point. 65% Nightmare playing like champions right now. Really well played. Ailaniwind using that ult early. We do see the Eternal Bond. Will it buy them time? Ice going to find Micah, and this could turn it back in their favor. They need to get some charge here now as it's roughly 74%. Will not have those reses up for the moment. C4 is going to pop that out early. Do we find any value? Ice going to take out Juker again. Not sure the res is up, but C4 falls Goma. Great shots there. Make that 2, 3 as Goma is absolutely waxing the back line. Ice finds Sleepy, and that's going to go back towards Ailaniwind.
That's the tough part about dealing with this Cloak and Dagger, with this triple res composition, is when you come back. By the way, they do have a lot of ticks on the board, but we talked about this before, Shib, with Cloak and Dagger, specifically in that Cloak form, or the Dagger form, rather. It's just so easy to stay alive there, you know, with the Veil of the Life Force, with the Dagger Storm, right? You just play inside that Dagger Storm, and it's basically like a mini ultimate. So great work from Ailaniwind there, but they're going to be against Nightmare on this retake.
Yeah, that Dagger Storm you mentioned, 55 HP per second, essentially is very valuable. Something like an Eternal Bond. Oh, and we are going to see the Storm ult out early, trying to find somebody. No, but Bond is up for Adam. Like I just mentioned, Goma going to take out Sleepy. Goma gets 2 more, and Goma is popping off in these team fights. That's another wipe as Prince takes out Aurora, and they are going to send him back to the spawn door. We're finding some footing here for Ailaniwind, who still are going to be just about even in this next neutral fight.
That's unfortunately the part about Cloak and Dagger that kind of is not, or sorry, not Cloak and Dagger. Mantis is not that good, right? You have this whole resurgence. You have that ultimate that just doesn't really do that much versus a lot of these extremely like big duelist ultimates, right? From that Storm with the Tornado, just did so much damage, and right now Nightmare have nothing to work with except the Meteor M.
Yeah, we are going to see a reset completely here. C4 through the bubble slightly early, not able to get out there and spin on the back line. We do know how strong you can build ultimate when you use that Blaster Barrage. We do see the ult out now for Punisher. Aurora's going to take out Jules, though. Great early start to this fight as they lose the Luna, but down goes Chenzo, making that 2 more. Sleepy going to res up Prince and Jalen. And once again, Ailaniwind found their footing, and we are going to get them slightly ahead. A teleport play may need to come in here for Nightmare.
Yeah, they res under to take the portal to come back, get healthy, in back to this fight, but now they're in the middle of the point, have that Cloak and Dagger ultimate. They need to win here and now, and they're finding the picks.
Yeah, that was a great decision. Res under, reset as a team, and then use that Cloak ult to keep the team on with Eternal Bond, and they completely shifted the tides as they are now holding on to point, and we are going to be even in ultimates, actually slightly in the advantage of Nightmare in this next fight. Nightmare, what a good strategy, what a great play, and what an incredible res again by Juker.
Yeah, I mean, now Chenzo coming in to touch the point. He just goes down for it, because that's what happens when you have to touch as a Punisher. But wait, do they even have the portal? So this is, I think, not even a retouch. It's just next round. Nightmare winning the first one.
Yeah, they're going to hold on to those ultimates there. I think that was a smart decision. The touch was a great idea, but like you said, a lot of the time that just does result in you getting KO'd. And we all know in ranked, there's that one demon that's going to yell at you for the KO, but that touch was absolutely necessary. Unfortunately, not able to follow up on it.
And I feel like this specific, and Cradle, the map they just played, the round they just played, it's actually very hard for this triple res composition. I think they played it perfectly. That's like the best I've seen a team play that triple res composition. They've just got every Adam Warlock ult res off. I mean, sure, they didn't win the fight that one time when they had to use Eternal Bond to stay on the point, but regardless, I mean, like you said, Shiv, going under the point that second time, to have that resurrection to come back, I mean, that was clean. And honestly, Cradle is a very hard map to play this. This whole map, honestly, Krakoa, I feel like for triple res isn't necessarily the best, just because of the fact that it's very hard to get good Adam Warlock reses off, because it's very easy to find you. Maybe that's more on Ailaniwind. Maybe they have to do a better job hunting down Juker after these reses. But right now in this next fight, you mentioned, Shib, how they saved on the some ultimates. They have that Meteor M. They have that Groot ultimate ready to go to counter C4 coming in.
Yeah, I like the decision to reset there. We are going to have this portal play early again, trying to find one sleeping in the back. Will they be able to do this? Sometimes you can actually kidnap them. You put the portal right, right in front of one of the strategist lines. Unfortunately, not able to do that there as they are going to be chasing. And here comes the spin again. Bubble out. A ton of all charges. It's already ready here. Galactic Legend popped. Looking for the back line, and we are going to see a ton of Qs being popped as the Hurricane comes out as well. C4 looking for somebody, but no, the dance floor is out. Once again, the fate of both worlds to buy some time. K Jules with a roughly 75% accuracy there on the Luna is absolutely obscene. Really well played by Alani to get to that point and not have anyone fall from that early portal play.
Yeah, and Ailaniwind, I'm going to go for more because they want to cap the point. Nightmare waiting for the re-engage. Now they come through with that Ailaniwind, and it hits everybody. Hydron, are you kidding?
An absolutely beautiful Eye of Agamotto there by Hydron, an incredible player. Have seen Hydron on some of the duelist lines, but playing this Strange very aggressively. You do know how strong that ultimate can be, and it just showcased right there with a 3-piece and allowing that team to sweep as Nightmare once again is going to hold on to this point.
Yeah, right now, I mean, that was just a great re-engage by Nightmare. After strategist ultimates are gone from Ailaniwind, you have to make a play with somebody's ultimate. Hydron, in this case, it's his. Aurora is going to keep saving that Meteor M for Chenzo in his ultimate, so it's a matter of Chenzo, can he find the eliminations and avoid Aurora in that Meteor M once he gets that bubble?
Ooh, and here we go. Final jump and get shut down. Aurora says, not in my house. Turns that right back and return to sender as they lose 2. Ailaniwind down again. And Nightmare doing a good job in these fights, playing very patiently. But hey, it's going back in as Jalen man is going to be using the Strangling. Prison finds 2 of the backline. Great picks there. The rest could be up though. Jalen just trying to hold on here, make that 3. Really well done to taking this point almost on their own, but about 100 HP, make that 50. Still managing to stay on this point, but at this point it could just be a stagger for time. Not sure how long it's going to go on here as we do see C4 using that Galactic Legend. Goma goes down. Prince going to find Juker. Ice on Hydron. Super back and forth here, but Ailaniwind finally takes this point.
Yeah, that was insane. Juker's ultimate, the res, I mean, what even happened? He like rezzed one person or like 2, just couldn't get everybody. And that's the tough part about Adam Warlock comp is sometimes you don't get those rezzes. It started off so well, like you said. Chenzo didn't get the bubble from Ice, and Aurora's Meteor M connected flush onto Chenzo, and I believe it was K Jules. And now into this next fight, Ailaniwind have to retouch versus Nightmare, who are lacking in ultimates at the very least. Eye of Agamotto versus that dance floor versus that Storm ultimate. So Ailaniwind have the advantage right now.
And here comes the ultimate right now by Goma, heading directly towards the backline. Likely we'll see a bond. Yes, and the bubble. Like ooh, great early pick there as Juker goes down. Ice finds 1. Just collapsing off of Goma. Goma gonna make that 2 as C4 goes down. Will they find more? 3, cleaning up the rest of the team and trying to get this charge back to even as it is 62 for Nightmare and 57 for Ailaniwind.
And the big thing is efficiency. Only costs 1 ultimate. You have 5 for this upcoming one. Meteor M has to be built. Swap portal play ready to go for Hydron as well. They're going to retouch with some of their ultimates. It's going to be still a very hard fight to win because we've seen Chenzo with that Punisher ultimate. It's so much value that he gets every single time.
Yeah, you see Hydron using that portal early because it does come back in 3 minutes. You can get multiple out in a round. Don't let that sleep. Okay, Jules finds Juker early, and that is a great pick. As we do see the dance floor popped out. Eye of Agamotto trying to slow down the pace. Again, Hydron finds 2. An absolute savage with these eyes, but it may not be enough as they are just duking it out back and forth. Who's going to take this point as Hydron falls? And it is going to be roughly even, but not for long, as we are going to see potentially another Q. Yes, Sleepe going to launch the Mantis, but no, doesn't find any value with the collapse. Aurora taking this space, keeping them up off the wall, and it is just a stalemate at this point.
And he's got the Terror Cape on him at C4. You can blast through it, and oh no, Prince is not there in time with the Eternal Bond. In fact, some members of the team are just not playing around it that well at all, but they're able to find Hydron. Also, Micah, finally, Ailaniwind gets some amount of eliminations here.
Yeah, that was a great call. I mean, the blaster barrage there by Starlord actually cannot be eaten by the Meteor M, so able to take out Ice during the ult there. That was a very smart decision as Ailaniwind takes map 2, and we're pushing it to map 3. Already, we're having a good game, and I love it.
This is amazing so far. Now moving on to the Grove. I feel like what resulted in Nightmare made it easier for them to win on Cradle. Gotta use the words, obviously. They went under the point, like you said, with that resurrection. That was the big thing, able to get value of Adam Warlock ultimate. Second map, man, they didn't really get that, right? It was 1 ultimate, and then the other, there was not a second one, right? Juker for this next upcoming fight. I was a little bit worried as well because Prince got picked off early. He was the one person that could have saved Ailaniwind in that fight. Luckily, they brought it back with some excellent Vanguard play through Jalen and Ice. Chenzo obviously putting in a ton of work as well. So is Goma. So right now, I favor Ailaniwind going into this next map. I feel like their composition's a little bit stronger with that poke, with the Punisher, with the Storm, that damage boost alongside the Luna Snow. Personally, I would favor their composition, but I know a lot of people like to think triple res is good, and Juker has that res ready to go. I need him to look for a spot to find it. It's going to be so hard because this point is so open.
Yeah, a lot of the time you'll find in maps that maybe don't favor the res is that they'll use that res early and then walk in, because actually when you're using Warlock, if you move forward with your body, it'll actually be like an aura, a circle around you, where if any of your allies go down or get KO'd, they'll go back and actually be res where you place the res. So you can use it prior to fights sometimes, and it actually works out pretty well. Goma going to go in there as we see Bond being popped, and nobody going to take any significant damage. Up in the sky again, that bubble keeping everyone up. Good idea. Will it find value? One goes down as K Jules, and Juker finds Goma. Sleep 8 takes out 2, and Hydron onto Prince, and that's a full team wipe off the rip here for Nightmare.
Yeah, beautiful fight there from Nightmare to come back into it off of Goma's ultimate. I would have figured Ailaniwind would have tried to commit more. Unfortunately, Goma a little bit too far forward and committed a lot of resources to save him coming back, and you talked about that soul bond. You talked about these pro players and how good they are playing around it. Every single one of their members get the soul bond, so they're sharing that HP and then coming back into it, dealing with Nightmare with the daggers, just staying inside the cloak and dagger ability. So both teams obviously playing heavily around their strategists.
Yeah, this is very much going to be in the favor of Nightmare in this next fight. They're looking to be in a very good spot. Chenzo holding on to that ult, K Jules and Prince as well. We are going to start leveling it out here, but we do have Juker, Hydron, Aurora, and Maiko ready to launch. And here we go off with the Meteor M right now. Looking, but the bubble going to protect. Really well done there, as we are seeing this final judgment through. A Hydron finds 2 as K Jules and Goma goes down. Still trying to get a few more picks to level out the playing field, but no. Aurora takes out Chenzo, and this is still going to be held on here by Nightmare.
Yeah, this is so fun, seeing this change from Hydron, maybe switching to something more, just strong right now. I mean, by the way, Stagger coming through from Ice has to jump off the map, and there he goes to Aurora. But regardless, Hydron's been so good on this Doctor Strange. I've heard a lot of people, I'm sure you have as well, Shiv, talk about Doctor Strange with the recent changes, right? Getting a little bit, just feeling a little bit better this patch. So Goma, by the way, early pick on the C4, forcing that res early. I mean, that's brutal. Leading this next fight, it's going to be a big ult fight as well coming up. Pay attention to Strategist ultimates, as those are what's going to lead Ailaniwind to success here if they do get a win, and this Groot Strangling Prison.
Yeah, off the rip, we do have the Hurricane coming in heavy. And will it find value? Mega Hurricane on to everyone. Countered back. We do see an ult here by K Jules. Ice going up with a Meteor. Jalen finds 2. Ice finds Sleep Bay, but the reses will be coming through. And that's what I'm talking about. Setting yourself up as a beacon. Now walking in to see how many people can be res. Juker gets 4. But Goma, Chenzo, Goma, and Jalen back and forth. Another set of reses as K Jules takes out Hydron and Sleep Bay. K Jules playing a mean Luna. And goes to show you how strong Luna can be in this current meta. Not only in the healing front, but also just on raw damage. Really well done there by the side of K Jules to find a few picks and progress through that fight.
Yeah, I mean, you saw from the very beginning, Juker was setting up back left of the point, just hiding the whole time for that res, but Ailaniwind read it, right? They saw Juker's onto that fight. They know they have to stay string in prison for that. Now in this upcoming fight, both of these Cloak and Daggers has ultimates ready to go, but Hydron has been amazing before with his Eye of Agamotto, but he's gonna have to go against Chenzo, who will be CC immune when he pops his ultimate.
And here we go. Early on, the bonds matched on both sides. Will there be a dunk? No. An immediate Eye of Agamotto to slow down the pace, but you cannot be CC'd when you're in Final Judgment. Goma gonna find Hydron. Ice takes out C4. Once again, Ailaniwind with great patience, finding a ton of value here through these ultimates. The neutrals will be even on this next battle. No major ult advantage besides Ice holding on here, and Sleepy on the side of Nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, that was well played by Ailaniwind. Pretty much perfect. Aurora just missing the Meteor M as well. Forgot to mention that how important Meteor M is. Hey, but who's this? Hydron, he's ready to go. Maybe they can sneak up on a strategist.
Yeah, and here comes the backline play. They do find one early. That is a massive play, as you just called out. Down goes K Jules, out goes the Mega Hurricane. Will this get value as Goma is trying to turn this back? Goma takes out Juker, but Hydron getting 2 more. Hydron finding so much value here on Strange. Like you mentioned, this recent buff, just allowing his E to hit extended ranges at full damage, has been super helpful for not only his ult, but super helpful for just the neutral fights, dealing a ton of damage to everyone in the large AoE.
I mean, maybe some portal plays can come through from Ailaniwind. They are stalling for time. Overtime ticks down. You have to stay on this objective as well, as Venom just comes in to stall.
We do see a Jeff take here just to try to get back from Sleep A quickly. C4th in the sky gets picked out. Chenzo finds one there, but Juker gonna res everyone back. This is gonna be a very difficult fight. Back and forth again. Anyone's game here. Oh, the pressure, and there's that E-pop we see. Immediately again by Hydron, who's finding more and more value again from Hydron with the Eye of Agamotto, potentially getting some value. No. Storm with a great line of sight play, just dancing around that tree, not finding the eyes pop on anyone. Instead, just gonna hold on to this point here, as then you see another Eternal Bond out for the side of Ailaniwind.
I mean, Jalen stalled for so long. Juker, meanwhile, finds K-Jules again. That's going to feel so bad considering they got picked earlier. Here comes Goma. Can they trade it? They have the overhealth. They have the damage. But will anybody fall?
Man, it's just so back and forth here in this fight. The res making things so difficult. A Hydron on Chenzo, again on Goma. Just sweeping up in these last few fights. And Jeff trying to find some value. Gets a tackle, but no, goes down early as Ice takes out Sleep A. And Ailaniwind might be able to turn this around again, but it's very difficult as Ice is one of the last few on point. We do see some healing coming through. Great positioning there by the back line as they cannot close it down. Jalen finds Aurora. What a play.
Wait, isn't this his second ultimate? He's about to have a second one to stall. How the hell is he doing this? Chenzo has won the Hydron, finds one, C4th in the sky. Can you find anything? The damage output isn't there. Somehow, Ailaniwind are still in this.
Yeah, this has been a stall at 99 for minutes and minutes on end at this point. Oh my God! Damage boost! The E goes out early! Oh my goodness, what a feast of the abyss there by Jalen, who's been absolutely showing off what you can do on Venom on this stall. Ailaniwind holding on at their 99% for Nightmare and now trying to gain right back.
That's got to feel so bad for Nightmare. I mean, you got to find eliminations. You got to have good target focus there before Prince or K-Jules can come in. I mean, they screwed up massively. Nightmare, though, do have Strategist ultimate advantage coming into this. Ice can really ruin their day with the perfectly placed Meteor M.
Yeah, it all comes down to that shield. Will it be enough to buy them enough time? Eye of Agamotto going to be popped here from Hydron. Ooh, incredible freeze. Not today, says K-Jules. Chenzo takes out Hydron immediately after, and that could have been game-winning, that freeze. Aurora finds two to turn it back, though. And at this point, it's anyone's game. Juker going to res up Hydron, and they're right back in the fight again.
Jalen's so low. Overtime takes down again. It's reset back to Max, and there's nobody here. K-Jules and Prince, the last two alive. No portal as well. Nightmare are going to win an absolutely hard-fought map 1.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't have asked for a closer game. It got down to 99 map 3. Teams back and forth on the final fight. The res potentially wins it for them. But oh my goodness, was it anyone's game? These teams want it, and you can tell just raw passion here on these final fights.
Am I crazy, or was that was that two ultimates? Was that two Feast of the Abyss from Jalen? I think I might be crazy. I guess I'm just seeing things, because how did he stall for so long, Ship? That was crazy.
Yeah, when it comes to Venom, you're holding on to two things. You want to make sure you have that Feast of the Abyss ready when your E is off cooldown. You want to dance with that E as long as possible. Get down to, as little health as you can. Pop that E. Let that health be burned down. And then once again, cycle it with the ultimate, giving you more time for your E again. So just playing the long game. Jalen absolutely helped forever, but unfortunately didn't get the job done. 17 final hits right there for Hydron is insane.
Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, he's made that transition from like a hit scan specialist to now playing Doctor Strange, and that's impressive. I think the amount of work he's been able to do on Doctor Strange definitely a hero this patch that a lot of people like to talk up how strong that character is, and you saw exactly why. Like you said, leading final hits on Doctor Strange is kind of crazy. I mean, that's so much damage that he's been able to do, secure his team a lot of fight wins, considering on the opposite side, Ailaniwind's win conditions feel like they're a little bit more straightforward. Goma pops that Storm ultimate, Chenzo committing his final judgment. I feel like either you have to be more well-read, understanding when Hydron's going to come in with that Eye of Agamotto, or maybe just Hydron's just Timothy. Maybe he's just getting those perfect ultimates and he's just connecting flush every single time.
Yeah, it's almost difficult to highlight a specific player, as there was so many back and forth incredible ultimates encounters. Great strategist line ults at the right time, trying to get picked off by Meteor M's, but unfortunately just great positioning by the cloaks there to avoid that. Not only that, or the shields popped out, but even so, even on the downtime, the neutrals were so back and forth, the reses were insane. It was really anyone's game. Jalen, like you said, the damage boosted right there was disgusting, just sweeping two immediately. Aurora countering as many Crimzo ults as possible. It was just a modicum of back and forth ultimates to the face, and just really well done by both teams. I can't wait for map 2.
I can't either. I mean, we're in this round number 1 of the loser bracket. Ship, winner go home, like you said. And not only it's that, you have to win today to have a chance again next week, right? So you're not even in that top 4. You got to place top 4 to get into the next stage of this tournament, which is the playoffs. So we're going to have to see who comes out on top on number 2. Right now, NTMR up 1. We'll be back from this break for game number 2.
Welcome back, everyone, to an insane set of events already showcased between these two teams. Ailaniwind and NTMR looked incredibly strong, so back and forth the entire time. It was truthfully anyone's game. What'd you think, buddy?
Absolutely. I mean, it was anybody's game the whole time, back and forth. I mean, they stalled for such a long time. They being Ailaniwind. Now down a map, they find themselves against the wall, max against the wall. That is before, you know, if they lose this, they're going home. Right now, NTMR, I mean, they're looking good considering NTMR, honestly, they kind of struggled leading into the, not Invitational, but the Ignite series, right? I think leading into this, they've had some roster changes, right? They've had potentially behind the scenes drama and stuff. I know there's a lot going on, and NTMR has also been constantly changing rosters. First, they had Sentinels, then they had like a boot, like I think it's Boom Crew, that sort of roster with Mace and stuff, and then they pivoted away from that. Now they're this entirely new roster. So right now, I mean, NTMR, I think if they even get one game win, that sets themselves up for the future very well, because I don't even think top 4 is I mean, it's within their capability, but it's going to be very hard for a roster that's so new. And Shiv, you talk about it with Ailaniwind as well, how new this roster is too.
Yeah, I mean, both teams, we've had this conversation. Great players, we just need to see them show up as a team. And I'll say during that game, they looked cohesive as can be. It was so back and forth. As we do see the early ban here, Emma and Magneto, no major surprise there, but we will lock in the mag here for the side of NTMR, as we will see likely the same thing over there for Ailaniwind, as the Magneto had a ton of value, or even potentially Strange. You know, honestly, Hydron's on that Strange was insane. I'm wondering if we're going to see a change in bans here, maybe to get rid of that Guardians comp. What do you think?
Yeah, it could be. I think they could get rid of it. I think Loki's been a play so far to get rid of for both teams. NTMR does have a chance to protect the Loki this time, but it was, I believe, last time double Emma, or sorry, double no, it was double Emma last time. Now it's going to be like 1-to-1, and then they protect the M, of course, just because that character is absurd. But it is interesting, the discussion between, you know, whether to ban Magneto or Emma. I think that's always something that people were talking about, because of the fact that Emma, I think she does a lot of damage. She's got CC and stuff, but Magneto, I think, brings a little bit more utility. Also, one of the strongest ultimates in the game. Not that Psionic Seduction isn't, but just the Meteor M connecting is absurd. Actually, no, I think it was it a double Emma ban last time? It was, right? Because they both played mag. Yeah, they
were both running mag. I mean, I'm with you. I would love to be a fly on the wall for that conversation around why they choose Emma or mag given the specific team. It always seems to be, you know, it always seems to be back and forth. Maybe it's just a coin flip, or maybe they do some studying up. But either way, I am very curious, as we do see Wolverine get banned out here, and the Luna ban is obviously, you know, very impactful, I would say, in this season. Punisher as well, as we may see maybe some Groot here coming up for the side of NTMR. Or excuse me, for the side of Ailaniwind.
Yeah, I think that's definitely in the books, and I believe it's looking very similar to last time, because I think didn't this go the exact same way? Am I crazy? It was I think Wolverine was banned first, or banned last time as well. Punisher on both sides going to go down. And the only difference really here is that Wolverine, like you mentioned, going to be one of the bans, and then Luna Snow on the opposite side. So a little bit more focus on the Vanguard, or sorry, Strategist, and a little bit more focus towards the duelists on the other side. And Cloak and Dagger was also protected, so you know, the duo, I think, with that Cloak and Dagger doesn't really matter too much, as long as you have the Cloak and Dagger for that Terror Cape. And you know, for Ailaniwind, they just want to play a lot of Luna Snow, so it didn't really pan out. Matter one though.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you know, it definitely had its place and had its influence on, you know, when you see Luna out there in the battlefield, just the raw damage output, the raw healing, the ultimate's obviously incredibly strong. The pros are now noticing the change in the alt charge, but I do think it's a bit of a trade-off, and I'm curious if they think the trade-off is more worth it with just the raw ranged damage that she can output as well. So curious to get the take on that. I'm sure we'll have a conversation with some of the strategists in the at least in the upcoming interviews. So we are going to be diving in here to our second map, and this could, like I said, it could really go any way. I think this is very defense-sided on point one. If the team's able to lock in, we will see some strange portals to retouch together, but this is a fun map and has the potential to have some more unique hero picks.
Yeah, absolutely, you're right, Shib. On Central Park is that, you know, if you see Invisible Woman, you probably see a flyer alongside it, more than likely a Human Torch, but some teams have played some Iron Man as well. that Luna Snow going to be matching alongside of it on the opposite side. Nightmare playing Human Torch along Ultron. So kind of a fun little matchup between flyers. You get two flyers in the Ultron and the Human Torch versus Iron Man. Or now going back over to Human Torch, and then Goma going to be on that Psylocke without an Emma Frost. Interestingly enough, that is definitely unique considering the fact that, you know, a lot of teams prioritize this Psylocke, you know, with Emma Frost, but these days it seems like even after the nerfs, people like to play a ton of that character. Meanwhile, Juker going really aggressive to Prince. Oh no, nobody's there to save him.
Yeah, that was great aggressive play. Like we talked about yesterday. We talked about yesterday having that Ultron drone on. Oh my goodness, as 3 go down, make that 4 and 5 as Hydron cleans up the rest. As we were saying, you can be very aggressive there as a flyer despite who you are in the sky. When you have that Ultron drone, it does enable you to play a little more aggressive so you can find those off angles and immediately get that health back. Juker really popping off there and drawing a ton of focus so the team could come in and sweep up.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see. Was Juker even in the last map? I think he was, but yeah, regardless, he's kind of popping off on that Human Torch, like you said, and Seaforth now going over to that Ultron. Hydron maybe becoming more of a Doctor Strange main. Isn't something I had on the cards for this Ignite series, but here it is. He's playing pretty well.
Yeah, we saw Hydron yesterday on Duelist actually running a lot of Storm, but now we're seeing the Strange change, obviously working together to try to find a way through this. Aurora going to take out Ice. Chenzo going to turn that right back on Seaforth, though, as the numbers are even for this fight. Goma says no longer are they even as they drop Juker, trying to keep the pressure on and shove into this point early, take that space, as we do have Human Torch just laying a ton of fire on the ground, making life very difficult for the defense. Hydron gets shoved in. They're still holding on with those shield as we do see the Eternal Bond out goes the Eye of Agamotto, and yes, Jalen gonna find Sleepe early. That's a nice start there for Alani as they keep the pressure, and Qs are being popped as we do see Aurora make that play as well. Goma gonna drop Aurora right back though and shut that down as Joker takes out Chenzo. These fights are always so back and forth as Hydron falls to Prince.
He's gonna have to find a lot more considering what just happened. Now here comes an Ultra Ultimate, but it's into a Meteor M, and the overwhelming presence of Ailaniwind is just there. Hydron does have the portal, but I mean, nobody's going to touch. He's not going to be here in time. Sure. Oh, never mind. They touch with the invisible boundary. You can get the eliminations through it, though, so Sleepe's going to go down. Now they don't have to sustain, and they're against so many ultimates from Ailaniwind.
Yeah, Chenzo really doing a good job there, holding on to that supernova and cleaning up virtually everyone. It's so difficult to come through a teleporter into a fiery tornado and just try to sustain through it. Unfortunately, lost a few strategists early on in that fight just due to the nature of touching that point. It was a good effort, but was not enough as they do push into point 2.
Into phase number 2, Ailaniwind, no ultimate, same thing for Nightmare, so this might be a bit of a neutral fight on both sides. Goma has been that guy to pop off with it. Does have the Luna Snowflake as well, the Idol. Stunned on the opposite, on the high ground though by Aurora, and that's a great pick from Aurora. Just grabs Goma on the side, just surprises him and just sandwiches him to a wall. So right now, Nightmare just in the neutral, taking full advantage of that Psylocke, maybe looking for somebody else getting a little bit tunnel vision.
You know what's more scary than Chenzo having a Guardian Shield is also having the Snowflake, and that can be terrifying. Imagine an Ultron drone there too. You can really put your healing into flyers in season 2.5, and that can, you know, ultimately lead to some really strong fights. Chenzo showcasing what I'm talking about with some hyper aggression, but Hydron turns it around on K Jules. Down goes Prince as well, as 2 of the back line now falls for Nightmare. Ailaniwind just trying to hold on with a few as Jalen is there. Goma and Chenzo trying to get a few more. Hydron takes out Jalen though, and it's still right back on the side of Alani, who are back in their spawn door but are up in numbers.
Hey man, Juker's played this so well on this character on the Human Torch, but it's that tandem, like you said, between Ultron and Human Torch. Both of these guys kind of play together in a little tag team duo. They go for flanks together. They do everything together. They go to the bathroom together. You know, Ultron's watching over the Human Torch, changing, maybe cheating on Tony Stark. And right now, Ailaniwind, they have to deal with that presence on the height.
And here we go, instantaneous Eye of Agamotto, still no value, and it's very strong to be using that ultimate from Emma into anyone in the sky, forcing them to walk in a straight line slowly, enables your backline to find some pressure onto that height. Usually it's very difficult to land shots as we see Ice land the Meteor M onto Micah. The meatball finds some value as we are going to keep the pace forward. Again, Ice goes down there. Aurora making sure that they paid for it. Hydron is very charged up with this dark magic. Will we see the E find value? And Psylocke going to start the dance of the butterfly. Doesn't get a pick. Sleepe won. Not able to do so. And as I say that, down goes Sleepe. Chenzo cleaning that up as Jalen takes out Aurora. And once again, Ailaniwind winning these early and more difficult fights where they might have been down initially.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that both duelists popping ultimates at the same time, Goma and Chenzo in tandem, because it's tough, because with the Dance of the Butterfly, usually if the strategists are good enough, you can out heal it if they just play back and away from everybody else, but that's why you get some help from your team, right? Chenzo came over the top eye with that Supernova, and they're able to find more eliminations. Now Nightmare coming back with some ults, though, and that's going to be tough to deal with. Ailaniwind, the only real answer they have is Jalen building up the Eye of Agamotto and the defensive advantage.
Yeah, we are going to see some strong positioning here. Chenzo kind of out in the open, not afraid, as they're playing very strong. Hydron going to take out Jalen early, and that is going to be difficult. May force a retake here by the team, as we are going to see some Qs pop. Juker playing hyper aggro. We do lose another as Aurora finds Prince. K. Jules going to jump off and just reset. Really well done here by the decision making, or at least by their comms, or their leader of comms, to force the wipe and reset for one more fight, as we will have a teleport play coming in right now from Jalen, using that teleport to potentially wall off some heals. No, they are just going to look to try to take somebody out of the back line. Will it work out, as we see some strong pressure? And here comes Chenzo putting a ton of damage down on the ground, trying to buy them some free space up in the sky. We do see Invisible Boundary holding on. Will they find any value here? Goma is one, just, oh no, not able to escape as Juker finds one, making this on the side of Nightmare early on. Will Nightmare collapse? We do see the Eye of Agamotto come out. Does give two as Ice cleans up Sleep A.
Yeah, great Eye of Agamotto from Jalen again to come back into it, and it was looking pretty solid for a Nightmare until that portal, like you mentioned. And now, after the ultimate, K. Jules gets stunned up, but it doesn't really matter, right? Nightmare sort of just walking towards his objective, kind of running in. Hydron will have that portal, though, and you can hear it's opening up, but will it get there in time?
Looks like it will, and this touch is going to be, ooh, yeah, it is going to go through, but oh no,
we're stuck.
Putting the portal a little too close. Luckily has the flight to take and push through. May be difficult. What you need to do here, for everyone watching, you need to go through the other side of the portal at your spawn. Circle around and go through the other side, and you will be able to make it through. It's a common misconception and a mistake a lot of people make in ladder. Use the other side of the portal if you're blocked. It's not over. And there's a great Eye of Agamotto to collapse. Hydron finds Chenzo even after the portal issue, and is going to keep the pressure on, make that two. Goma turns it around on C4 though, and the numbers are slowly dwindling for the side of Alani. The res goes up from C4. They are going to keep this pressure on. Will Alani be able to come retake? Ice holding on to the point here. 2 left, 3 left now, but it's not going to be enough, as they do go down before point 2. Really well done there, but it wasn't enough to press through. Great defense there by Nightmare.
Yeah, great defense. Hopefully nobody's calling it an L9 based on what happened in EMEA with touching the payload. But regardless, Ailaniwind, I mean, tough spot to be in. I mean, Nightmare, like you said, Hydron had that portal to come back, and then with all those ultimates, really able to take it full advantage. And I think so far, my MVP would go to Aurora. I mean, on that Emma Frost did so much. I mean, so many grabs at the perfect time, so many first picks as well. Every time there was an ultimate, like we mentioned with Jalen, going for those ults, it was just Aurora there to grab him or take him out of the fight. And you know, it's tough. That's what happens when you kind of let Emma Frost through sometimes. It just seems like Magneto, for as good of a character as he is, you have to get full advantage of the utility of the bubbles, of just the displacement with the right click, right with the Meteor M. And unfortunately for the side of Ailaniwind, they didn't really capitalize. And maybe that's because they were on attack. Maybe on defense, it should be easier. So maybe for Nightmare, because they don't have those bubbles, they'll be going down to a lot more. But you see there's a little bit of decisions now having to be made for Ailaniwind as they go against pretty much an identical composition for Nightmare.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to see the counter here from Chenzo to try to shut down Juker with the Juker Nova, who's been popping off there on the Human Torch, just to try to get some more favors back towards their presence. They want to make sure they can hold on to this point as long as possible, as they weren't able to push through point 2. And honestly, that makes for a pretty difficult defense here. Let's see what they can do as we press into the first point.
Heading in, Nightmare running the same thing that they ran on defense. For Ailaniwind, they've mixed it up. And here we go. That duo yet again. Poor Tony Stark, I'm telling you. Very sad. This duo between Human Torch and Ultron is beautiful, though. We'll see if they can get in the first elimination. On the flank, sets up the one shot, doesn't get it.
Yeah, good idea, good positioning off the off angle. Like we said, he's gonna have that heal, gonna use that team up too from Invis just to keep a little bit of extra health. It's very difficult to find value with Chenzo trying to make that happen. No, Juker gonna find Goma through the mayhem, and Juker is just playing a very aggressive Torch here, going to show you that Torch may have been slightly nerfed in the last batch, but it does not matter when you play him like this. Juker on the height again. Ailaniwind very low as Jalen is very low. Prince goes down 3 as Sleep A takes out Jalen and Ice. And one thing that's slept on is the raw damage power. C4 is gonna find Chenzo there, make that 2 as K. Jules goes down. And wow, what an attack here by Nightmare, who has found their bearings, and they are just flowing as a team.
Yeah, I like this comp. I mean, I think we've seen in other regions, I believe in their solo duelist has been like a Bucky or something. But to be honest, I feel like the highest skill cap characters in this game in Marvel Rivals are those flyers, and that's the tough part with Hela. Now in the Streets phase, you need this Hela to pop off. You need this Hela to do damage. Otherwise, I mean, it's pretty much over. And that's the difficulty is if you play flyers correctly, you will never go down, because if you just use the cover in the sky, who's going to get you, right? You can't really chase them on Hela. You're stuck as like a sentry turret on the ground, whereas they're just like AC 130s inbound in the sky.
Yeah, I mean, the whole nother level of gameplay, just the vertical juking. You need to set an ascend and descend button if you're trying to play these heroes at a high level, as you know, it takes a whole nother level of difficulty to try to take them out of the sky with a KO when they're moving in all different directions, even in the Z-axis. Is Micah going to find ice there? With an well done with the Eternal Bond. Micah, another on a Goma. Hydron going to drop Prince, and wow, that is a good fight again by Nightmare. It might be a forced teleport play this early. Janzo going to hold the height here.
They can't do it. What do you do, man? Like they have Invisible Woman, they have Ultron. Like, this guy's not killable. Like, there's so much help here. Luckily, they are coming back in with ultimates, but it's gonna be so hard versus the Supernova.
Yeah, and here we go, up in the sky, Meteor M trying to find something, unfortunately not, just to buy some time and some shots, as we do see the follow-up. Will there be any drops through this invisible boundary? And we do see the tackle down, trying to escape, good positioning. C4 just using this as a actual, you know, a healing ultimate for once, which we rarely see, but it does do a ton of healing, actually 6 times the amount of Invisible Woman, which is surprising to some, but it's usually used offensively as we push in, as Chenzo trying to find more value off the off angle, doing a good job here resetting as a team, not allowing a lot of those ultimates to get value, just kind of a stalemate. But it is right at the end of point here with almost 4 minutes on the clock.
What happened to Mika? What happened to Micah? Micah's just off the map? Game pause. Oh my god, are you kidding?
We may have had a DC or something along those lines, or I'm not 100% sure, but I will say, despite what's going on here, Nightmare playing next level as a unit. It's just, they've got this comp figured out as well. They really can kind of play a multitude here, as we saw that res comp initially, and now they're going more towards the pocket flyer composition. And we do need to see something here. I don't know if we saw the portal yet, or even if it's off cooldown for the side of Ailaniwind, but they do need to get back to this point relatively quickly. Being down in numbers this early in a fight is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. And right now, I mean, Shib, this cannot be overstated. This is the last fight for Ailaniwind to keep their hopes alive at Ignite. If they don't win right here, I mean, they're going to have to requalify again next qualifiers. So right now, Ailaniwind, I mean, they're taking that. They're probably thanking God that Micah fell off the map on accident. I don't know if it went either PC issue or something, but I would be incredibly grateful, because that could be a momentum shifter.
Yeah, we saw Hydron and Aurora. I've got to show some love for the Vanguard side. Obviously, you know me, big fan of Vanguards, play the position myself, but the amount of final hits they're having together and the amount of space and pressure they're providing just on their own it's been obscene. Seeing Strange do things like that has been a ton of fun to watch.
We both agree, Shib. Doesn't this seem like the best patch for Vanguards almost, or at least the patch where it seems like you need to have really good Vanguards, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, right? Because there are 2 or 3. I mean, Strange is maybe in the conversation for being an A-tier Vanguard in my opinion, but Emma in a very strong state, and so is Magneto, who has been recently buffed as well. Emma with more of a change, the additional range of the laser has been surprisingly effective into flyers, which you may not think. And now you can actually use that laser, one of the additional changes, on a Groot wall, so helps with the Groot conversation, which used to be a large counter for her. So a lot of shifts in how things are played. So yes, it may be difficult to be a Vanguard right now, with just due to the strength of duelists, but yes, they are definitely strong.
Yeah, it's so strong at the moment, but right now we're in a technical pause. Coming back from said tech pause, 3 minutes and 25 seconds away from Nightmare to punch their ticket moving forward, but they just lost one of their strongest players in Micah, and they just lost another one in C4.
And here we go with the reset fight. It is going to be a battle. Ultimate advantage is actually dead even, with both Strange ready, Jalen's ready. Same with Hydron. Hydron early on takes out Chenzo, and that's going to help Juker take that space in the sky, as it is going to be a battle. Goma versus Juker, and there is that Eye of Agamotto.
Great job by the Invisible Woman on the opposite side to push him forward. Eye of Agamotto comes back through to connects onto a ton of members, but the healing, is it there? No, it's not.
Yeah, that was a really strong eye as we do see the psionic seduction out. Multiple people walking. Will they be able to? Oh, no. Hydron takes out Jalen there. Is able to find one up in the sky with a meteor. Will it land? There's a shield in the face. Going to be very difficult. Oh, tries to find the angle. Great idea there by Ice. Unfortunately, not able to work out for him, but just predicting movement there. The fight is back to being neutraled out as we do have a strategist line on both sides. Nightmare going to hold on to 2 here, and it is going to be difficult for Alani to hold on as we do see that invisible boundary out. Juker trying to find a pick through it, as you can do when you have 4 of those fire balls on the ground. It actually is enough to burst through some of these strategist ultimates.
Uh-oh. They got to stay on the payload, though. You have to stay on the objective. 3 meters left to go. Does find that Ultra in the sky. Invisible Woman, though, on the inside angle to give them some more sustain. Ailaniwind have nothing, man. It's about to be over. Oh, no, it is. Nightmare. Get into the next round. Take out Ailaniwind. And, man, that sucks considering Ailaniwind. I mean, it's been such a long journey for them, and they have to go home.
Yeah, we talked about requalification, getting back into the tournament, and I'll tell you what, that team was looking really good in their games. Unfortunately for them, just not able to get the job done there. That first map of domination heavily in, I honestly thought they were going to take just the res count. They could not handle it. And then Nightmare, I got to show some love to Nightmare, who are just playing out of their minds right now as a unit. Looks like a totally different team, man. They're just flowing together. Their compositions have changed. They're playing much more selflessly, and we're seeing some plays from the Vanguards, from the Duelists. It has been so back and forth. As you see Hydron 13 final hits and Juker with 11. Aurora finding 7 as well with 26k damage, the most in the game. Just, it's really a team difference right there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's map dependent for sure, talking about whether Emma Frost is worth protecting or rather worth banning, or the Magneto. But to be honest, from what I've seen, I would probably favor the Emma Frost. I don't know about you, Shib. It just feels like to me that Emma Frost is a little bit more impactful on most maps than Magneto. Both characters obviously incredibly strong in the current meta, but I feel like you should prioritize Emma Frost, no?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because we talk about the advantage of when you have Magneto, it can also shut down things in the sky like Human Torch with that ultimate and buy you an additional. It's very similar to Galactic Legend, where you can actually get value out of it being more of a strategist line ultimate rather than just raw damage under a backline strategist where you can just counteract them. But so it is very dependent, but when you have this much focus in the sky, it may not be enough. You do get to see that, Aurora using that Psionic Seduction did find value out of the flyers, but for the most part, it was mostly used just to stall the fight and allow somebody to get KO'd, just do even if it was a frontline Vanguard. So it is very dependent on the map and very dependent on the lines of the enemy. So it's such a tough decision and discussion to have.
Yeah, and I feel like the pace of play is almost increased as well with the Doctor Strange. No, like it feels like he can make a ton of plays. Considering, like, if we compare it to Groot, if we play like Groot and Emma, maybe it slows the game down a little bit because you have those walls and you want to make sure it's disruptive. With the Strangling Prison, it almost feels like the Doctor Strange can play a little bit more loose, maybe a little bit easier to play it than that Groot composition as well, because you could definitely do that as well, right? You could definitely, instead of having the Doctor Strange run the Groot, but what we've seen in Doctor Strange, I mean, that looked pretty dominant. I don't know if we've seen a Groot look as good so far in the Ignite series.
Yeah, we saw a decent group play, or actually really good group play on the side of Sentinels, but you're right, for the most part, Doctor Strange, these Eye of Agamottos, they such good focus here in terms of who to focus when the eye is popped. And speaking of great focus with Doctor Strange and those Eye of Agamottos, we have Hydron over here for the interview, and he played just absolutely lights out during that game, so I'm excited to talk to him.
Yo,
what's going on, Hydron? How you doing, buddy?
It's going good. How are you guys?
Good, man. Good.
Doing good.
I got to show you some love. So real quick, the question we were kind of having back and forth is Groot or Strange? It seems like you guys are very much on the Strange play, and you were just dominating today, MVP in that second with 13 final hits. What's the decision there, and maybe why?
Just no decision, just kind of balls to the wall, and you got to step up to the plate, and I'm Thanos, so it's all good.
Thanos for sure. Hydron, specific, like, what? You're like a hit scan guy. Like, what the hell happened? Like, you're just like now playing Doctor Strange, it's just like your guy, or you just can play everything? I think people are talking about how flexibility is so important. I mean, you're in that boat, man. It seems like you can play a lot now.
Yeah, life happens. It's good to finally play a game that you don't have enforced roll lock, so anybody can kind of play anything, and that's a nice part about this game.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. It's like one of the more beautiful things about Rivals, and there's more fluidity between even the roles that certain heroes are locked into. But question I have for you again, and this is a question I typically have, as we just watch you with a clean eye there, cleaning up 4. I have to ask, who's running the comms on your team, or is it more of an open line?
It's usually everybody, but I would say I probably talk the most. I probably have the most experience in these types of games from Overwatch and in this game. So I feel like I probably usually lead comms the most, but it's a team effort pretty much all the time.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah, you can see that for sure. And Hydron as well. I know a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people want like questions on in terms of your perspective on the game so far and the newest patch and stuff like that. And for you guys, obviously, it's been interesting because you're already qualified, ready to go for this, joining this team. What's it like for you in this new patch, playing with Nightmare? I mean, I know it's been sort of interesting behind the scenes. You don't have to talk too much about it, but for you guys, you're like a new roster kind of going through it. I mean, how is it feeling now, getting this win and kind of moving forward? Obviously, it's one more if you get secured into that top 4, but do you feel pretty solid after going against Ailaniwind going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it always feels good to win. We're just playing for the prize pool, and we're just going to take it one match at a time and see what can happen.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time as always, Hydron. You're the man. Great PR trained responses as always. If you have anything you want to call out, any teams, anybody you want to thank, now's your stage before we say goodbye to you, brother.
I think we're playing Shroud X next, and I don't know. I think last time I played them, we beat them, so we'll see.
All right, man. Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time as always.
Thanks, boss. Have a good one.
Thank you, Hydron. All right, great guy. Awesome interview with